It's confirmed that it's carried out a nuclear test. It's conducted in the north of the country. South Korean officials say that the force of the blast set off an artificial earthquake of a magnitude of 5.3.
For more, our politics editor for The Courier's Andy Sharp joins us from Tokyo. Andy, what is North Korea claiming?
OK, well, in a statement on its state-run news channel, the North Koreans just announced about 30 minutes ago that it managed to detonate a nuclear warhead in the test, and says it now has the ability to mount these warheads onto rockets. In other words, they can produce miniaturized nuclear arms, which, if true, means they can be fitted onto rockets and fired further, putting potentially, a wider range of countries at risk of an attack.
To what extent, and I say this with a certain amount of brevity, which is, to what extent can we believe them? It's still a little bit too early in terms of the credibility of these claims, is it, to 100% believe them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their last test, their fourth test they conducted in January, the North Koreans claimed to have produced a hydrogen bomb. But every expert we spoke to, government officials from, all the key players, Japan, the US, South Korea, countries around the world, all said, no, this was not a hydrogen test. North Korea's claims don't stand up. For now, it's still a little bit early to say whether they have produced this miniaturized weapon, but we should definitely have a heavy dose of skepticism around their claims.
Andy, what are the implications for the wider region? I mean, we're seeing a sell-off in Korean stocks and in the won. We're seeing Japanese stocks swing between gains and losses. What are the implications?
Sure. Well, the implication is basically, how do we stop North Korea, continuing to fire missiles? It fired 3 missiles last week. Nuclear test, it just conducted its 5th test. How do we stop this? The onus is clearly on China. China's its own official, it's the only official ally of Pyongyang's in the region. Japan's strengthening sanctions. The USA will probably, call for tougher measures. So it all depends on whether China can use, sanctions or other diplomatic means of turning the screw on North Korea. Otherwise, we don't see any particular way or any method of slowing down what seems to be an accelerating program of missile and nuclear tests.
It certainly is heightening the tensions. Andy Sharp there in Tokyo. Thank you very much. Just to recap, Obama has been on the tape. President Obama, he's just left the region. He says that he will consult with allies over the coming days in regards to North Korea's actions. He reiterated the US commitment to the Asian allies. And Obama has talked to South Korea's Park, Japan's Abe in separate calls, and he's been fully briefed on the matter.
Joining us now is Simon Derrick, Chief Currency Strategist at BNY Mellon. Simon, let's just start with this story, of course. We're seeing, a sell-off in the won, though this after it was, at its highest since April 2015?
15-month high, yeah.
Yeah, 15-month high yesterday. Is this an overreaction, given that we often get these sort of tests and news of these tests coming out?
No, I don't think it's an overreaction. I mean, I think the actual reaction in the Korean market is actually pretty mild. Although Manus is right, that we don't have the final details about this test yet. Nevertheless, it's the next stage along a very long, winding story that's been going on for, 5-10 years now. The interesting thing for me is, relatively speaking, the lack of reaction we're getting in markets overall.
Right.
Now, you could say that people are now just used to what's happening in North Korea. How often do we get one of these stories? But nevertheless, it is still a major issue. I think that what we're actually looking at here, though, is a market that has become immune to geopolitics overall. Look over the course of the last 12 months. Look at the lack of reaction to what was happening on the Turkish-Syrian border. Look at the relative lack of reaction to events in Paris or the Turkish coup. This is a market that's become so heavily focused on yield-seeking that almost anything else gets blotted out. And I think the relative lack of reaction here just speaks to that.